Oh my God, it just tried to go up my nose. That's disrespectful. What's up, friends? I'm Chelsea from Minimal Waste Living, where I talk about plants, zero waste, and intentional living. And if those are things that sound interesting to you, make sure you subscribe for more videos. Today I'm going to give you a bunch of plant updates for a bunch of different plants. Let's get into it. Alright, first let's talk about plants that I finally know the name of. There were a few plants that I rescued from the floor of a Home Depot that just had fallen, either stems with no leaves or stems with just a couple of leaves, and I wasn't able to find the mother plant. So I had no idea what these plants were, and after so much research, I finally found out. So the first one I found out through Reddit, the first one I found out through Instagram, actually. So this plant I now know is a Dieffenbachia. I don't know what variation it is. It looks like it may be reverted, but I'm not sure. But I do know it's a Dieffenbachia, and that's enough for me to kind of get an idea for the conditions that it needs. We'll get rid of this. And it was quite an experience trying to figure out what that plant was. There was a Reddit post where somebody posted a picture where I figured out what it was, or I was able to identify that it was the same plant, but nobody in the whole thread said what the plant was called. So I ended up finding out through a Russian, I think, Instagram page where I was translating what the Russian name for these plants were. It was an experience, but I'm very glad to say that I finally know what it is. The next one is this plant, and everyone kept telling me it was a Philodendron Brazil, and I knew it wasn't because it just looks so different. The leaves are so much lighter in color. The variegation isn't that vibrant yellow color that we're so used to seeing. The way that the leaf is kind of coming off of the stem, just everything about it, the thickness of the leaf, there's just so much that I was like, there's no way this is a Philodendron Brazil. But yeah, so this is another portion of it. I finally found the mother plant when I was doing some shopping for National Indoor Plant Week, and I found out that this is a Peperomia orbo variegata. So now we know. All right, so now that we have plant names out of the way, let's jump on to some updates. First, I want to go over a growth update from my begonia Fanny Moser, which I also recently found out the name of. And it has a new beautiful leaf. It is coming in smaller. I don't know how this plant grows, if it will grow into a bigger leaf or if this is just kind of what it's gonna be. The back of it looks a little bit interesting where it's kind of coming out, so I don't know if there's just some kind of damage there. It's very likely that Miss Daphne Rose caused some damage, as she likes to do, but you can see there are definitely some new growth points coming in right there, and also, ooh, there we go, at the back there, you can see a new growth point, sort of, yeah. So this, oh yeah, there's another one down here too. Can you see that? Right there. Oh yeah. So I'm really glad that this plant is actually growing. If you remember, this is a plant that I waited a really long time to propagate, or not propagate, to move from a water propagation into a potting mix. There was a long story behind that, which I've talked about in so many other videos, but yes, now this is potted in cocoa coir and perlite, and she's doing really well. So she does need a little bit of a drink, so she will get that after this. But yeah, she's doing so well. I really like the different colors in the leaves, and look at how rich and dark those other more mature leaves are. Just love it. And like the silvery speckles. I never thought I would be a begonia person, but I don't know, something about this one. And I think that it helps that it's like spooky season too. Yeah, I don't know, I like it. All right, next we can talk about the bird of paradise. I have a new leaf coming in. I'm so happy. It hasn't been that long. It just feels like it's been longer. It's probably been a month and a half since I've had this plant, and it hasn't really done too much other than get fungus gnats, which has been fun. But yeah, I think she's doing really well. I don't know what it is about. It's trying to tell me that there's not enough humidity, but it's like 70% humidity in here. And I've done like a little bit of misting, and I don't know, I've been trying to do what I can for this plant. But yeah, she's just still like really severely curling up. And you'll see that on my other one as well. But I don't know if you have any tips for me on maybe what I could be doing. I have misted the leaves a few times, more than a few times, but yeah, if there's something else I can do, let me know. And then here we have my other bird of paradise, which if you follow me on Instagram or on TikTok, then you've already seen this, but this new leaf unfurled, and I don't know if you can see it as well anymore, but there's this beautiful gradient to the leaf. So it's pretty dark over here, and then as you get to the center, it's more and more light. My theory for why this happened is because this plant was in the kitchen under a grow light as the leaf was unfurling. And then I went away for a long weekend and it had fungus gnats. So I had all of the plants that had fungus gnats, they were quarantined in this room. And since I went away, I had the blinds closed. I didn't have any grow lights in here, and because I was prioritizing the plants that were healthy. So as the leaf continued to unfurl, it was getting less light than it was originally. So I think that's why there's this gradient to the leaves. I don't know if it's going to stay that way, but I kind of like it, and I kind of hope it does, because I think it's beautiful. But again, you can see, I don't know how well you can see, but again, the leaves are very crispy and kind of like curling in and like shrinking up. My guess is that it's a humidity issue, but at the same time, I'm like, it's like 70%. How much more can I give you before my house turns into a greenhouse? I don't know. And if it continues to kind of grow in this way, is it going to damage the whole plant? Like, I don't know. Is it okay to grow in conditions like this and continue to shrink up? That's my question. If you have an answer for that, please let me know. Okay, next we can talk about the Philodendron glorious that is on a moss pole here. We have a new leaf coming in, and I don't know if you can see the fungus gnats flying around, but there are still fungus gnats. So now that I've moved all of my plants other than the new ones I just got over to cocoa coir and perlite, and some of them also have bark and pumice. Now they've been like, okay, now let's go into the moss and let's create a new community in the moss. So now that's what I'm dealing with. I've been trying to use mosquito bits and mosquito tea, mosquito bit tea, and nothing is really working. So I don't know, we'll see. But we do have a new leaf that has been trying to come in, and it's been a while since it's been trying to unfurl. I don't know if I need to go in and help it, but I don't know. Also, there are some things growing out of the moss pole. I don't know what this is. There's more down here. I don't know. I'm wondering if it's possible that I'm growing some vegetables right next to where the moss pole is. I wonder if maybe like a breeze came through and kind of blew some seeds into here or something like that. I don't know. That seems kind of crazy now that I'm like saying it out loud, but that's like the only thing I can think of, because it kind of looks like either scallions or spinach that I'm growing. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens if it grows into anything. But yeah, this plant, this new leaf looks a little bit damaged. and it hasn't still grown into the moss pole yet. I'm like, I didn't know how long it would take for the roots to really like dig into the moss pole, but I didn't think it would take this long. And maybe that's just because I'm so used to watching like updates from people over like 6 months time, and to me I'm watching it in like an hour, so I'm like, okay, it's been an hour, why aren't you fully rooted into the moss pole? But yeah, it's been over a month and it still hasn't rooted in, so I don't know if that's concerning or not, but I'm gonna keep an eye on it and we'll see what happens. Another update about this plant is, so this is what I assume to be its oldest leaf, and I cut it off yesterday because of all of the damage that's on it. I didn't know what it was, and I kind of freaked out because of everything I went through with the leaf blight, with my Imperial Red. Words today are not it for me. And I was like, is this leaf blight? Like, what is this? And then literally this morning, I watched another Sydney plant guy video, and he was talking about the extra floral nectarines that are on the backs of these leaves and how they need to be wiped down very frequently, and that they can cause a lot of damage to the leaf, and that it's okay to leave those leaves on, and it's probably beneficial to, because it'll help the plant photosynthesize and grow better. So I woke up this morning mad at myself for cutting this leaf off. It's not the end of the world. And the plant honestly looks better now that this like ugly looking leaf isn't on there anymore. But yeah, I'm like, did I just set my plant back now because I don't know, it doesn't have as many green leaves to photosynthesize from, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, so basically if you have a glorious or some other plant like this that gets that extra floral, whatever it's called, at the back of the leaves, and it has damage like this, it's probably just that, and it's okay, and you can leave it unless you're somebody who likes to just trim away your ugly leaves, but I don't know. Next I have these fungus gnats. Next I have my Monstera deliciosa, and she's doing pretty well, although again she is not fully rooted into the moss pole, but she's starting to. I can see, I really don't know if it's gonna pick up on this. Oh, it kind of is. So like right in there, she's really starting to root in, and I'm so happy because I wasn't sure if it was gonna happen if I had just like kind of waited too long to put this plant on a moss pole, especially because the petioles are so tall. It makes it look like I waited way too long, and also the internodal spacing for this is bigger, I think, than it normally would be for a Monstera, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. This plant, unfortunately, this leaf that is the only one that has fenestration on it, oh my god, it just tried to go up my nose. That's disrespectful. It's one thing to be flying around, but to go up my nose? Anyway, so this leaf unfortunately got damaged. Daphne was being Daphne and was jumping over the plant and ended up knocking this leaf, and so it broke, but I have it kind of secured here. It's also where there's another node that it's really hard to see. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, I don't know if you can see it. It's like right in there, but it's not touching the moss at all. But yeah, so it's already kind of constrained in that area to kind of encourage that part of the plant to grow into the moss pole. So hopefully it'll be okay. I don't know what's gonna happen by keeping this leaf on here when it's damaged. Maybe it can repair itself. I don't really know. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I was really bummed because this is the only leaf that has fenestration on it. And yeah, but we'll see. All right, next we have the these Fungus Gnats. Okay, next we have the Marble Queen, Pothos Marble Queen, that is doing really well. I have this in a hanging pot in my north window, and it gets really good light there, like really not direct light, but like very strong. How do I want to say this? I'll say very consistent bright light. So some of the leaves are like on the one that's in the window, some of them are almost like completely white, and then we have these other like beautiful leaves that have more balanced variegation, some deeper greens. This one is also really nice, and wow, this one's heavy. And it's already kind of starting to root into the moss pole, which is amazing. Although over here you can see it's kind of growing like up, and then it's kind of growing over this way. I'm trying to encourage it to grow up again, and so that it can go like up the moss pole and not just grow right off it. But in doing that, I had this, I don't know if you can really see. I had this pin in here that was wrapped around this part of the stem that was encouraging this node over here to grow into the pole. And unfortunately it was too tight around it. So you can see there's a little bit of damage to the back of the leaf there. I definitely need to get some more of this like Velcro tape, and that's just definitely a safer way to kind of attach the stem to the moss pole, because I really think that the metal is too, there's no give to the metal. It's kind of like not sharp, but you know, it's not soft. So I think I'm gonna kind of shy away from using the metal from now on until I'll keep it there until I get more of that, the tape, the Velcro tape. But yeah, she's doing really well, and I really hope that I start to get more leaves like this. These are nice, but I don't know, these leaves just like look so much more stunning to me. So I'm definitely gonna try to encourage more growth that looks like this. So we'll see what happens. And last but not least, we have the Imperial Red, and there is a new leaf that has been trying to unfurl for a while. Come on. And I think it's okay. It doesn't look like the leaf blight has carried to the new growth, which is nice, although it's really hard to tell because it hasn't fully unfurled. But you can see, because it's been taking so long to unfurl, the color is already changing to a more mature leaf. So it was a lot more like orangey when it was starting to come out, and that's usually how it would stay when it's fully unfurled, and it'll stay like that for at least like a few days, and then it'll start to slowly go back to more of like a green color. And it's already starting to do that, and it hasn't even unfurled yet. So I don't know what's really going on there. I did actually, the only reason that it's unfurled this much is because I helped it. And then I got to a weird spot where it was this kind of like wrapping around the leaf. I cannot remember what this is called, but it's kind of like a shell that protects the leaf as it's growing in. And I thought that the version of this that was here, I thought that it was preventing the leaf from unfurling. So I started to peel it away. And as I did that, I noticed that there's another new leaf that's trying to unfurl. So I actually unprotected this new leaf that's trying to come in, and not realizing that it was that like shell, or I don't really know what you want to call it, that I thought was for this leaf was actually for this leaf. So I hope that this new leaf can grow in okay. I don't really know the implication of taking that kind of cover away from it. But we'll see what happens. I don't think this leaf is ever gonna unfurl, because if you can actually see, it's not focusing for some reason, but this new leaf is actually in the way of this leaf unfurling. So yeah, it's not really showing. Focus. I don't know why it's not focusing, but yeah, so we'll have to see what happens with this. I'm still being cautious. I'm still gonna go, once I put this back where it belongs, I'm going to wash my hands again, because that's what I've been doing anytime I touch this plant, just in case, because I definitely do not want any leaf blight to carry to any other plants that I have. We already know what happened when that happened the last time. So yeah, I completely forgot to talk about my vegetables that I'm growing and a couple other plants, so let's get back into it. All right, so let's start with the non-vegetables here. So here we have the Mother of Thousands that is struggling, and this plant was about this height, and it started growing some roots from the top of the plant for the second time. So I decided to chop it and just put it right back into the soil, and we'll see what happens. There's some new growth happening at the top there, and we'll see what happens. But if this doesn't work out great, the whole point of this plant, Mother of Thousands, there are thousands more that are ready to come. So these were all babies that fell from that plant a while ago, and they were sitting in the soil, but they weren't doing too great. But since I transferred them into the cocoa coir with perlite, they've been doing really well and actually starting to get some height to them. And again, I don't really like succulents, and I don't typically do well with succulents, but I don't know. I guess I'm just trying to figure them out and just see what works and what doesn't. I've been bottom watering. I haven't top watered, except maybe like giving them a little spritz here and there. Why are there fungus gnats? I'm so sick of fungus gnats. What was I saying? So yeah, I don't really know what I'm doing with succulents, but they seem to be doing okay, so we'll see. There's a lot of them in here. I feel like pretty soon they're gonna outgrow this little pot here. It's very small for the number of plants that are in here, but for now, I think they're doing okay, and we'll see what happens. These are other non-vegetable plants. These are succulents that I saved from, again, the floor of a Home Depot. Didn't know what they were, still don't know what some of them are. One of these I can see is a Mother of Thousands. Here we go. And I don't know if you're really going to be able to see any of these. The lighting is weird. So these two little ones that are in here, funny enough, I left them in my car for soil on my face. I left them in my car for weeks, at least weeks. It might have probably, I think it was more like a month. And thankfully, because it's been so hot, or it was so hot and humid, they were like thriving in my car. So not only these two, these were the most recent ones that I found that were in there longer than any of them. The rest of them, other than this one, were also in my car, and they were kind of thriving. And then it started to get colder, and that's when I finally realized that they were in there. Put them in soil, and they're doing okay. They're not doing great. But again, I'm not great with succulents, so I don't really know what they need. I think they might be a little bit too wet, so I'm not watering them again until it dries out pretty thoroughly, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, so that's an update on some of the succulents that I have. All right, now on to the vegetable plants or the herbs. So first we have the saddest one, which is the spinach. It's not doing too hot. Daphne has been eating these and maybe that's part of the reason why they're not doing so great. But yeah, they're struggling. Oh, that one just came right out. Okay. So I think I'm gonna try these seeds over again and see what happens, and just keep trying them because it can't hurt. And I have a ton of seeds, so we'll see what happens. But I am surprised that out of so many seeds that I put in here, I probably put in like at least 15 to 20 seeds in this little thing. There's only like 4 of them that came up, so that's really surprising to me. I have a feeling it has to do with temperature. I don't think they were warm enough. So I think if I do it again, I would change the conditions and make it a little bit warmer, or just put them in a more warm location. Next we have the basil. And I don't know if you can see, but there is a nice little paw print in there. And it looks a little stomped on, and that's because it was. Daphne somehow found her way onto the shelf that's pretty short. I don't know how she does these things, but yeah, she just kind of stomped right in here as well as a few other plants. But yeah, so this is the basil that is struggling. Usually basil for me will grow like a weed, so I'm really disappointed in how little growth I've gotten. Again, I think part of it is being stomped on, and I think another part of it is temperature. I think the temperatures were a little bit too cold, and so again, I'll keep these, the ones that are doing okay. I think I'll put some more seeds in and just kind of change the conditions a little bit, make them a little bit warmer, and see if that helps things. All right, next we have scallions or green onions, and they're doing pretty well. This is another plant that Daphne has been trying to eat. I should actually probably make sure that scallions are safe for cats. I figured because it's a vegetable it would be safe, but now I'm like, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, they're doing pretty well. They are leggy, which is surprising because the light source is like right there. They're under a grow light. So I'm a little surprised by that, but yeah, as of right now, I think they're doing okay. I would like them to be a little bit more sturdy. And I think part of that is due to me not like shaking them or messing with the stalk stem. I don't know what these are called. I'm gonna call it, I don't know, stalk stem? I don't know. So for vegetables, normally they would grow outside and they would be in the wind, and due to all of the forces that are making them kind of like sway, they firm up because they have to. So they get thicker, firmer stems or stalks to them, so that they don't flop over like this. I think because I didn't like shake them around enough, they haven't built up that stability, and so that's something that I would do differently and that I'm going to continue to do moving forward. Even with these, I'm going to keep these and we'll see how they do. But yeah, I think every like day or so I'm just going to go by and just give them a little like a little kid where you just kind of like ruffle their hair up. Just give them a little ruffle, give them a little shake. All right, and now last but not least, we have the vegetables that are doing the best of any of them, which is very surprising to me, but we'll see what happens. So as of right now, these pepper seeds that I got from store-bought peppers, I just took the seeds, put them in paper towel, let them germinate, and then I potted them up. They're doing, oh, you know what? Maybe there's something to that, because the system that I use for these is very different from the system that I used for all of the other seeds. So maybe I'll do an experiment where I'll take a few of those other seeds, I'll do the same kind of paper towel method, put them in a moist paper towel, put them in a plastic bag, and then put them in, I think I just put them on top of the fridge, which typically should be a warm spot. Although the top of my fridge isn't very warm, but anyway, this has another Daphne foot stomp in it, but they're still doing okay. But yeah, I don't know. Sometimes store-bought foods will not germinate. Well, they'll germinate, but they might not fruit. So we'll see if these actually grow peppers to them. They might just grow green vegetation and not grow any fruit. So we shall see. I will keep you updated. But yeah, they're doing pretty well. So yeah, those are some of the more exciting updates. I really hope that you liked this video, and if you did, please hit that thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe. It really helps out my channel, and it lets YouTube know that you like videos like this, and they'll show you more of them. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.